So, Dad, I want to find out more about your experience when you were in the Navy.
That's good.
Yeah, so tell me about when you first got to the ship. What was that like?
Well, it was a big experience. It was a long journey to get there. My ship was in the South Pacific, and I was in Newport, Rhode Island.
Oh my goodness.
So there was a little time problem for the Navy to get me there, and but we did meet in Milne Bay in New Guinea, and I was transported over there from the troop ship to my ship late in the afternoon, and the bosun told me I was assigned to this bunk here. So the next morning, bright and early, I was roused from my bunk and along with a few other guys and said, grab a broom and hit the deck up there. So we up here started swabbing the decks and sweeping the decks. So, hey, I'm in the Navy, I have to do what I'm told, right? So that's what I began doing. And suddenly this man appeared and he said, I'm looking for Chappell. And I said, well, that's me. He said, well, give me that mop. And he grabbed it from my hand and he threw it down. He said, come with me. He'll swap decks. You're a quartermaster. Get up on the bridge with me. So I followed him up there, you know. So I did. And he acquainted me with what the bridge was. It's called. There's the chart house and the sound gear and all that. And that plus the front part of the bridge where the steering is done. That's all. And on the wing of the bridge there were big compasses to take your courses and so forth. It was my orientation lasted about half hour after all of that. Anyhow, inside he put me to work on some charts that needed revisions. We have charts on all the ships, but meanwhile, things happen into that they're no longer valid, and so the corrections are sent in your mail to your ship, and someone, in this case me, was assigned to start working on these corrections. Now, you began by working on the corrections for that area where you are. Some corrections, in San Francisco, but we don't bother those because we're not there. We are in Milne Bay in New Guinea. And so I got started doing that. I had learned something about that in school. And so I went right to work feeling good. And other people came by and talked to me, took me into the pilot house and showed me the people there, the people on deck, the captain, and so on. And it was very nice orientation. We were meanwhile anchored there in Milne Bay, and the next morning we got up and at my assigned spot, and at the time I was very concerned about being punctual, but we got started, and I observed the process that a ship goes through getting underway for sailing. And little did I know that I would be doing that very thing for the next 4 years, or three years, and getting the ship ready to go. Many people involved, the officers that are there to give you guidance or make orders, and also there's a person on the telephone that connects him to the engine room, other people with phones that connect them to other parts of the ship. So they are all talking, doing, I just observed. Well, then finally someone said to me, well, come on over here. And I went over to where he was. He stepped back away from this big wheel that was about 30 inches in diameter. And he said, okay, here's where you're going to be guiding the ship.
Wow.
But-
And this is a destroyer, right?
Yes,
It's big.
right. Yes, I was right there, and you can imagine how thrilled I was to had my hands on that and looking out the pilot house window. We weren't moving yet, nothing for me to do, but I was there. That was what I was trained for. And so they stepped back, and I went back and took the wheel, and I went back to sweeping and cleaning up there on the pilot on the bridge, including then some corrections to old charts of the vicinity where we were at that particular time. And then I watched I started hearing other people coming to the bridge and making orders here and there, and I was told just to stand over there and listen, watch, which I did, as the bridge crew went about doing what they were supposed to do. My first observation of that, you have the officers who give the orders, and the men who follow those orders, and we raised the anchor. There were men down there to do that, and they were telephones, headphones, and they were told to raise the anchor, and the engine room was told, to get ready to get underway, and we began my very first voyage on the Drayton, and I was just watching, but it was a big thrill for me.
I bet. Wow.
That was my introduction, and no one can tell you or how thrilled I was to be doing what I was doing. Here's this little boy from Ohio steering this $1 million ship out of there.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you. So I was assigned to handle the ammunition that came up from below decks in a track, and to go to number one gun. And I was, as I was doing that, trying to, I slipped my hand underneath the shell as it came up. And there's the thing that raises the shell from the storage up through to the bridge or to the gun station is a chain, and I caught my finger between the chain and the projectile. It started to bleed, and someone says, "Go to the sick bay with that bandaged up." So I did that. And then when I went back, they said, "We aren't going to have you cutting yourself." When this gun is fired, it is the shell casing is automatically kicked out of the gun, whereas the projectile goes down the barrel. The powder casing is kicked out back, and it's ready for the next shell, the next firing. And so I was told to grab up these empty shells and stack them up over there out of the way, because those are, well, they're brass, and that's very expensive, of course, and so you save those if you ever can. And so I did that and threw out the exercise with a bandaged finger. I did real well in my first assignment. Well, and so we got underway and headed out of Milne Bay and up the northern coast of New Guinea, and a series of incidents up there. That lasted for a couple of months, and then the other quartermaster came to me and said, I don't want you doing this. I want you in the pilot house. And it seemed that, see, the person steering the ship from the pilot house, you're stuck there. You got to be there. You can't go for a walk, you know. And so, but he didn't like being just really frozen there doing that task. And so he made arrangements for him to do what he was doing, which was writing the story of the activity wherever we were going. And he needed somebody to be on the wheel that isn't going to leave, he's going to stay right there. And so that was wonderful, great experience for me, rather than just handling those shells from down below. And so I was very, very proud and listened to my orders very carefully. The orders are usually come from the officer of the deck. That's the person who is in charge of your maneuvering. And so he gives us that orders from most any place there on the bridge. He may say, well, one thing here and one thing else over there, right standard rudder, left standard rudder, or right 10 degrees rudder, whatever. And the person on the wheel follows the order and turns the wheel in that order. So the person that was doing that didn't like being frozen there. He wanted to be able to, well, and frankly, he wanted to be able to hide if he could, you know, if we were in battle. And so that was true. But me, here, I've only been on the ship a couple months, and I'm steering this beautiful destroyer. And I was thrilled. And no way was I ever going to leave there except to listen for my orders.